Right, thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's now time to look at what the newspapers are reporting, and I'll definitely continuously do this with my my partner, Toma. So looking at what the papers are reporting this morning, quite interesting developments we're getting from the newspapers this morning. Yeah. And the first would be the Nation newspaper, which has very interesting headlines there, but most definitely uniting with every other newspapers this morning, which is expected. The Nation newspaper says, Fubara, Amaewhule gone with Tinubu's emergency declaration. And the riders read, Ibas is Rivers administrator for 6 months. Breaking of export terminal pipeline triggers invocation of Section 305. The standard quote here reads, no good and responsible president will stand by and allow the grave situation to continue without taking remedial steps prescribed by the Constitution to address the situation in the state, which no doubt requires extraordinary measures to restore good governance, peace, order, and security. Toma.
Yes, and as we said earlier on, the most important thing right now is to steady the boat that is already rocking.
That's right.
Security concerns came up. In fact, security concerns, I think, is the main reason for it.
Yeah,
you know.
Most definitely. If you see above the masthead, okay, Senate probes alleged annexation of Nigerian territories by Cameroon. Above the masthead, we have House of Reps passes tax reform bills. Senate passage expected. Reinstated Osun Council chairman get Algon's backing. Bill to regulate social media scales second reading in the Senate. This is also generating, making a lot of tongues to wagging a lot of tongues because people are asking, are you trying to gag the press? Are you trying to gag street credibility when it comes to people going on social media and expressing their own freedom of, they're expressing their thoughts as granted by the Nigeria's Constitution and the United States Charter, United Nations Charter.
When it comes to social media, I would suggest that allow social media do its thing. We know what social media is all about. Sometimes things that hurt will be said, but when you respond to things like that at all times, then you are the one that is putting fire under the fry pan. Let social media be. Handle your information as well as you can and move ahead with governance.
And interesting times are really upon us. If you look at what Donald Trump is doing in the United States, vis-a-vis what we just read regarding the social media, Trump has also invoked maybe, let's say, 2 centuries ago kind of law. He has reawakened that spirit of anyone who criticized the government. There was a Palestinian activist who criticized him, made a speech and during the protest, and he had ordered that he be thrown behind bars. And people are asking, why are you bringing up this kind of laws that have been buried several centuries ago, which enables you to deport anyone from the United States and so on and so forth. So interesting times are upon us, and it remains to be seen what the reactions would be left, right, and center. The Daily Monitor is next. Senate probes alleged annexation of mangrove islands in Akwa Ibom by Cameroon. Tinubu hammers, if you look at the banner headline here, the screaming headline for that matter, Rivers crisis, Tinubu hammers Governor Fubara, Deputy Amaewhule, others. Declares state of emergency in Rivers, list reasons, nominates Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, retired as administrator, state of emergency in Rivers, an assault on democracy. So we're beginning to get reactions from the opposition parties, PDP to be precise, Labour Party, SDP, etc., and also the Nigerian Bar Association have been reacting, saying that it is unconstitutional what the president had done in terms of declaring what we would say means peace, to restore peace and order and stability to River State.
They would come up with things like that depending on where they stand. PDP, you will know why PDP will do that, Labour Party and the rest. But you see, the story that really interests me is the annexation of the Mangrove Island by Cameroon. It's sounding like the annexation of Bakassi Peninsula, parts of Bakassi Peninsula. It's becoming something that is happening too often. And I hope that we stand our ground on this.
Most definitely, because Nigeria is a sovereign state.
Yes.
We do not want to cede any part of our country, any part of our geographical territories to a foreign body, because this would mean insecurity to us. We see what is going on in Russia and Ukraine.
Yes.
It has to do with something very similar. So we don't want to get into a fight with our neighbors. We just want to be at peace. FARC allocations rose by 43% in 2024. That's according to NATI. El-Rufai accuses Governor Sani of siphoning local government funds to UK, South Africa. It's never going to be the last we'll hear from, El-Rufai.
The man has to keep blowing hot. He has to be in the news.
Keep blazing. Yeah. They need to talk about me. They need to see that, yes, I'm all for Nigerians. But, someone like Mr. Lamido had said, listen, if you want to fight, if we want us to see you fighting for the cause of the nation, of Nigerians, of the common man, it should not be as a result of a personal vendetta because we were denied an appointment as a minister due to some security reports and all of that. So, I don't know, it's just something that we keep talking about, in days to come. Reps task SON, that's S-O-N, Standard Organization of Nigeria, on eradication of fake building materials. I think there's so much for Standard Organization of Nigeria on the table to really, really work at, because I wonder how some products that are being certified by them are still somewhat not meeting up to expectation, and how we also bring in some of these things into the country without necessarily going through the right routes, by getting the approval from Standard Organization of Nigeria. And you'll be asking the question, what exactly have they been doing? How
did it get into the country? Anytime we have to talk about the Standard Organization of Nigeria, I just find myself comparing them to NAFDAC. They're a regulatory body just like NAFDAC. And what's the trick? How come SON has the lapses it has and NAFDAC doesn't? So there has to be a major shake-up in the Standard Organization of Nigeria.
Most definitely.
Buildings are collapsing everywhere.
Tinubu transforming Nigeria into one of the largest economies globally. That's according to Shetima. Next is the Leadership newspaper. Niger residents pay cash to escape abduction. This is not a story we want to, having to talk about. You have to pay for you to stay alive, which is not something really good. But I believe the current administration is doing a whole lot to ensure that people sleep with their two eyes closed and snore. Not just closing your eyes, also snore while you're in bed. Etoma.
No, you don't want to hear some people snore, and I'll just leave it there. I'll just leave it there. All right.
Right, PDP kicks over Secretariat land revocation. Still on the Leadership newspaper, oil workers threaten nationwide strike over expatriate quota violation. Yes, if you go to some of these places where we have the oil wells, places where we have our national patrimony being managed by expatriates, foreigners. They're supposed to spend like how many years, like 3 years, and then they hand over to Nigerians, so the Nigerians will be able to run these affairs. Max, they stay 5 years, according to the rules. So now it looks like we're having too many foreigners, expatriates, running our affairs at the detriment of the Nigerian people who are supposed to be, doing this by themselves.
It's also at the detriment of the Nigerian nation. I mean, that means the Nigerians are not being trained well, or what? And those expatriates, do you really know who they are? Are they oil workers, or they are oil workers plus something? Right. Those are the dangers that I see, and I hope we'll get that right very fast too.
Absolutely. Federal government earmarks 700 billion naira to tackle tuberculosis, malaria, HIV and AIDS. Yes, it's good that we're having this, especially with the suspension of the USAID by the almighty Trump administration, to Nigeria. So it's a good one, a good initiative, because we have a lot of people who are going down with tuberculosis, which is transmissible, malaria, which is like #1 killer disease. AA, one bite. seven sleeps. I don't want to say 7 die. HIV and AIDS also, and the antiretroviral drugs. We need to make it accessible, available for people who are battling these ailments.
When I hear stories like this, I say this is how government should work. One door is closed, try and open a window. And that's what the administration has done. talking about these interventions. Now, we have meningitis
Yeah.
up north. We've had
Diphtheria.
cases here in Lagos and so on. A lot of health challenges.
There is also Lassa on the other
There's
hand.
Lassa on the other. These things are just popping up from everywhere. So government just has to do what they have done. And that's one area too where I give them a thumbs up.
And it's also instructive to mention that the First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, is very, very keen on fighting tuberculosis, because according to her, she lost the best friend, to tuberculosis, if my memory serves me right. So it's a good one that we're getting the federal government ensuring that they fight this head on.
All right.
Reps passed Tinubu's tax reform bills. Interesting. We'll see the Senate having a ratification of that. There will be, the Senate will also have to look at it and see areas where they need to, the harmonization, that's what I'm trying to remember. So we'll see how that goes, but we need it to be passed as soon as possible so that it takes effect.
All right.
Natasha takes sexual harassment case to the BBC. Whoa. From the United Nations to the BBC, we're next.
Oh boy. That is one woman that doesn't give up. That's one thing I admire about her. When she starts a fight, she fights. She takes it right down. But it gets to a point where you have to think of other things and not just you.
Yeah.
I wish she would stop all the noise about the sexual harassment thing. I really do hope she will stop it.
All right, so quite little infographics here about the state of emergency that is declared in cases in 22 years. 2013, we had former President Goodluck Jonathan declared state of emergency in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe states. But it's very instructive to mention that some of these states, the governors were sitting, they were not suspended alongside the declaration. 2006, Obasanjo declared state of emergency in Ekiti. That was during the Fayose administration. And 2004, Obasanjo also declared state of emergency in Plateau State. So we'll keep dissecting this development. It's going to, dominate the conversations generally, and we'll iron it out and see how what is wrong, what is right, and how expedient was it made in the first place. Nigerian Tribune is next. Tinubu puts Rivers under emergency rule, suspends governor, deputy, lawmakers for 6 initial months. No winner, no gainer, if you look at it, because others are saying, Wike has won, but Wike's supposed, boys have also been asked to go home. And one thing interesting is that the judiciary is expected to stay. Yeah,
the judiciary should stay intact, according to what Mr. President said. And yes, Wike won to the extent that when a governor and the deputy are suspended, all their appointees go with them. Remember, that was one of the conditions the lawmakers gave the governor. So for that, there's a win. Will the governor or members that have been suspended come back? That we'll wait and see.
Interesting. So the Vice Admiral, we've got just a bit of information about him. Born on September 27th, 1960 at Nko, Cross River State.
Nko in Cross River State is in Yaka local government area of that state. That's
very correct. Thank you for that. Joined Nigerian military in 1979, rose to become Chief of Naval Staff between 2015 and 2021. So we expect that, to whom much is given, much is expected, they say. 15 billion pounds petrol union case, Attorney General steps in. Ogun government sets March the 31st deadline for herders registration. And then explosion rock Trans-Niger pipeline in Rivers, police arrest 2. Proper investigation has to be done so that we will see what happens. Tinubu lacks powers to suspend elected governor. That's according to PDP. We will be testing our constitutional, prowess when it comes to this, constitutional democracy, and see how relevant and how strong our constitutional democracy is maturing. Senate probes annexation of Nigerian mangrove islands to 1,560 oil wells by Cameroon. Cameroon, you've got to be very, very careful. Nigerian News Direct is next. Obi, PDP, others kick as Tinubu suspends Fubara deputy assembly members for 6 months, appoints former naval chief as Rivers administrator, and Tinubu is rehearsing for 2027. Whatever that means, only Olabode George can, expatiate on that. Above the masthead, Lagos State receives Dangote Foundation donation of 80,000 bags of rice. Good one. We hope that this trickles down to the common man. Right. So we need to race on because of our time. Let's go to this Nigeria. Why Fubara was sacked as Rivers governor, Tinubu, and then Nigeria responsible for 27% of global malaria prevalence. Okay. Moving on to the next paper is the Punch newspaper. Emergency rule. Soldiers, tanks move into Rivers government house. Okay, that will inform our conversation, in the upcoming segments that we're having. Federal government deducts states 800 billion naira allocations to pay foreign debts. Etoma, because of our time, let's move to Guardian newspaper. PDP NWC kicks as Wike revokes Wadata Plaza new secretariat plots. Senate braces for backlash as social media bill scales second reading. You already talked about that.
Yeah.
Bengerson accuses federal government of aiding 11,000 Indians to secure Nigerian jobs. Delivering affordable electricity beyond pledges and declaration. Very, very key. You believe?
It is.
Just a very thought on the electricity thing.
So read the headline again.
Yeah, so we're saying that delivering affordable electricity beyond pledges and declarations. We've been having issues. I think it's the editorial. So we've been having issues with our electricity generation, transmission, distribution, etc. And just for like 3 days, we had serious power issues. I was angry because I lost lots and lots of cooked food in my freezer.
Everybody has his problems, but you see, yours was just 3 days. There are areas in Lagos that have been having outages for the past 2-3 months. Cumulatively in a whole day there.
That's right.
They have supply for like 30 minutes or 1 hour, and that's a good day. It's getting a little better right now.
That's right.
But it's not where it should be.
Right. The Nation Sport and Live. Sport and Live is next, which is the last paper here. Emery pushing Aston Villa to sign Asensio. Arsenal in contact for £44 million kien. And then look at page 4 for the paper. We have 22 Eagles Stars train. Operation Crush Rwanda. Players participate in drills, rondos. Al-Hassan use of absence expected this morning. Interesting development. We wait to see Nigeria and Nigerians happy at the end of the day after we've crushed Rwanda.
I like the way you put it, after we've crushed Rwanda. And I pray it turns out to be that way. Football has always been one thing that makes Nigerians really happy.
Even though,
so we're looking forward to
even though Rwanda just crushed Belgium, asking them, leave our country. We do not want to. Nigeria is a giant, it's a superpower. So we want to see them being defeated on the pitch.
But you have to understand that in football nowadays, there are no underdogs. Every team
anybody can rise to that level. Right. So that's about it for the newspapers, so that we make way for other segments to come.